Alright guys, we are back. We're gonna start playing a new game called Wolf Tales. And I'm not gonna be stopping to playing Fureraba. I'm still gonna continue it. I just wanna do something alongside it to spice things up a little bit. So, let's start the game. Let's see how it is. And I heard it's actually pretty good. According to the to the reviews anyway. Let's get right in it. Enter name. Choose your gender and name your character. Well, I'm gonna stick to the normal name that I use. Maybe just a first name. I don't need a last name. Yep. Brr. I stare at the road before me, which is now barely visible thanks to the flurry of snow. The storm had arrived violently while I was out, and before I knew it, I had gotten stuck in the middle of it. Almost home. My breath is visible in front of me as I creep forward on the snowed-over road. Even though my heat is on full blast, it isn't enough to ward off the freezing cold. I shudder to think of how cold I'd be without it. The sooner I get home, the better. I hate to get stranded out here in this. Slowing my truck to a stop in front of the cabin, I turn the key in the ignition and shut it off. The heat immediately stops blowing and I can already feel the chill hit me. Time to brace myself for freezing winds reaching between me and the cabin. Here goes. I rush inside as quick as I can, shivering from my head to toe despite my thick clothing. The moment I slam the door shut behind me, the sound of the wind howls outside quickens and the chattering of my teeth fills the room. It's warmer in here, but not to the point where I can whimsically toss aside my extra layers and flop down on the couch. If I suddenly remove all my extra layers right in the instant, I'll probably pass out from the change in temperature. Yeah, you better keep warm, man. Whose idea was it to start living out here anyway? Probably myself. As the sole occupant of this cabin, I expect no response to my rhetorical question. I'm by myself, huh? Sad, sad, sad. Okay, for better or worse, I decided for myself that I would live in these snowy mountains all on my own. What happened? Alright, tea, a bite to eat, and then I'll turn in for the night. In the middle of the snowstorm like this, it is important to keep nourished and warm. After reminding myself to adhere to a few basic survival tips, I fill the kettle with water and turn it on. Man, am I glad I have electricity out here. And I'm glad it's actually working. I mean, with freezing temperatures, there's usually a blackout. Without ready access to the hot water, there's no way I'd survive out here. I should have enough food to last until summer too, by which point I'll be able to go into town without freezing to death. Life out here might just work out after all. Am I gonna get a backstory of why are you here? I mean, it's not uncommon for men to decide to make a go for it on their own, and isolated from society at large. What happened, man? I found it relatively easy to adjustment to begin living out here. Though in my circumstances, this camping was my only option at the time. The moment I think so, my body begins to shiver once more. I feel cold wind brush up against my cheek, threatening to give me frostbite if I dare to take it off any layers of clothing. That's weird. It shouldn't be this cold inside the cabin. I know there's a snowstorm out there, but this cabin is pretty well insulated, my bad. It shouldn't be this cold unless the door is open. Curious about the source and also desperate to stop the cold, I walk through the cabin, trying to figure out where this is coming from. That's a good looking cabin. After checking all the windows, I went up near the back entrance of the cabin. And suddenly enough, as soon as I spot the back door, I have my answer. Gotcha. I hurriedly clear away the snow at the base of the door, which seems to have stopped the door from opening and closing any further. Yeah, close that thing. I then close the door, lock it, and move a few things in front of the door to prevent it from opening even if the lock were to break. That out to do it. But how did the door get open in the first place? I could see myself forgetting to lock it since I'm all alone out here anyway, but there's no way I forget to close it. Is the latch broken? Forget it. I think about it after I had something warm to drink. I turn away from the door and begin to walk towards the kitchen. No sooner have I begun to move my foot, however, than I realize that the floor is soaking wet. Some snow must have gotten blown in and melted. I guess I better clean this up. My eyes widen as I realize something important. There isn't just one puddle of water. There are several. Following a clear, non-linear path, the puddle shows me the path someone or something has taken. Oh, I got an intruder here? Damn it! An intruder? Or maybe a wild animal? Wild indeed, huh? I instinctively grab an axe that I keep for wood off the back wall. Sorry buddy, I understand that you want to take refuge from the cold, but guy's gotta protect himself. Axe in hand, I head deeper into the storeroom, prepared to defend myself against a potential dangerous person or animal that has wandered into my home. Oh, you're in for a surprise, man. I think so. Moving even further inside, I cautiously move around the table and... Whoa, surprise. Freeze. That's Mirari. Ha ha ha, shiver. Should I do their voices too? Since it's not voice, maybe I should. Yeah, maybe I should. What the... My arms lose all strength as I stare at a peculiar sight in front of me. On the floor in my storeroom is a girl. She's shivering wet and her breath is ragged. Red face, jet blue in the fingertips. The poor girl looks like she's about to freeze to death at any moment. And yet, what attracts my attention is that tail and those ears. It couldn't be. Without thinking, I drop my axe on the floor and reach out towards the girl's ears. I gently tug her ears, trying to pull them off, or otherwise expose their stitching. However, no matter how hard I pull, there's no sign it's being a practical joke. As far as I can tell, these wolf-like ears are real. Impossible. She is really a half-human? That can't be right. I mean, absolutely certain that this place wasn't intruding on the domain of any half-humans. Oh, so they are real in this. That's interesting. I was like, can I hide the text? That's what I'm wondering. Can I hide the text? Maybe not. Okay. No, I don't think so. Did I make a mistake? Or is she just... Yep, she's shivering. Before I can mull over the girl's presence any further, her whimper brings me back to reality. Right, whatever the reason for her presence here, it doesn't change the fact that she's freezing to death in my cabin. I'll worry about the details later. For now, I have to make sure that she doesn't die. I grab a towel from one of the shelves in the storeroom and immediately begin to dry the young girl off. The moment I make contact with her skin, I realize that just how close to death this girl really is. Her body is so cold that I can feel it through the towel. Her skin is deathly pale and she can't stop shivering. Desperately, I rub the girl's body, trying to both dry her off and warm her up. However, no matter how much her body moves about, she does not stir. The girl is breathing but unconscious. Even if I tried to, I don't think I'd be able to wake her up. Ah, shit. This isn't working. I'm going to have to step things up a notch. Hopefully she's okay. What's next now? Many hours pass by as the unconscious wolf girl continues to rest. Over time, her breathing gradually becomes less ragged, and color returns to her skin. That incessant shivering comes to an end. Her lips stop quivering, and a faint yet peaceful smile appears on her face. While it's still too soon to rest easy, it seems like the girl is going to be just fine. Phew, I was worried for a while, but it looks like things have finally come down. I guess some dry clothes and a long sleep in a warm cabin were all she needed. Pretty sure she needs more than just that, dude. Feeling good about myself for having been able to help out, I watched the girl sleep for a while as I contemplate what to do next. The snowstorm has died down now, so I should probably have this girl leave as soon as she wakes up. Though I suppose I could at least feed her first. She must be famished after sleeping for so long and almost freezing to death. It would be heartless for me not to at least. She groans. While I'm in the middle of thinking out loud, the wolf girl finally begins to move. What starts out as a faint groan quickly turns into a visible movement on her part. The girl's eyelids twitch as I can see her lips trembling. In a matter of seconds, she will no doubt open her eyes. She yawns. That was quite a... The girl's eyes open wide as she starts to gain her bearing. Her eyes start around the room, trying to fill in the blanks of her memory. Oh yes, I remember now. I got caught up in the storm, didn't I? I finally found shelter, but I thought my mind was just playing tricks on me as my body started to shut down. Am I really alive? You sure are, at least as far as I can tell. Whoa! The girl jumps in fright as she finally notices my presence. You are, this is... The girl tries to speak but fails to formulate a proper sentence. With what being the case, I decided to explain the situation to her, giving her time to calm down. I found you in my storeroom, shivering and unconscious on the floor. I dragged you off and brought you inside, but it was hard to tell if you were going to survive or not. Your fingertips had already started to turn blue by the time I found you, and your breathing was a complete mess. Listening to my calm explanation, the girl looks down at herself. She pinches her clothing, seemingly surprised at how clean and dry they are. My clothes. Did you? I averted my gaze. Yeah, I did. Before you say anything, it's not like I was trying to peek, okay? Your clothes were wet, and you were at the risk of freezing to death, and couldn't just leave you like that. Just like me, the girl blushes and looks away. Wolf girl or not, she must surely be embarrassed to have her body seen by a stranger, a human male nonetheless. Rather than adopt an impression of anger, however, thank you. Huh? The girl forces herself to look at me once more. With eyes filled with sincerity, she continues to speak. I am a trespasser. I broke into your cabin, intruded in your home, and dared to use your shelter as my own. Yet, despite all of that, you went to such lengths for me. Oh yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. It really isn't that big of a deal though. You were caught in the middle of a storm. If I were in your situation, I would have broken in too. Besides, all I did was dry you off and clean your clothes. It's really nothing major. It is something major. If you hadn't taken pity on me, I would have... Before the girl can finish speaking, she interrupted by the sound of the kettle whistling. Oh, it sounds like breakfast is ready. Excuse me for a moment. I move away from the girl and head towards the kitchen. Once I set foot in the front of the kettle, I grab an additional ceramic bowl for my guest, since she has now woken up, my bad. Breakfast? You mean to say that it is now morning? That's right, you were asleep for a solid 12 hours. After emptying 2 packets of instant noodles, one into each bowl, I poured in the boiling water. I then place a fork in each bowl and bring them back in the living room, careful not to let the water spill over the sides. Alright, here you go. Make sure you give it a few minutes to cook before you eat. As I set the bowl down on the table in front of the girl, she stares at it quizzically. I get it, she probably doesn't know how to eat a bowl of noodles. Eat this? Am I gonna offer myself to be eaten? Yeah, that's... never mind. What is this? Some kind of soup? Kind of. They're instant noodles. All you need to do is put the noodles in the bowl, add hot water, and then wait for a couple of minutes. They're quick, easy, warm, and quite tasty. I begin to stir my noodles around with my fork as I speak. Watching me carefully, the girl hesitantly picks up her fork, stares at it for a moment, then mimics my actions. Yeah, that's good, just like that. You gotta stir them up a little so that the flavoring is distributed evenly. The flavoring? It adds additional flavor to the otherwise bland noodles. Have you ever eaten instant noodles in instant food before? The girl shakes her head. I'm familiar with many aspects of human culture, including some which our respective races do not share. Even so, instant food is an entirely new concept for me. Is that right? I stare at the girl in partial surprise as she responds with unexpected eloquence. Far from my mental image of half humans being savages, this girl seems to be more human than wolf. Oh my goodness, I just realized something. I've been preying on your kindness, yet I haven't even given my name, or asked for yours. Oh yeah, I guess you're right. It doesn't really matter though, it's not like you'll be staying... I am Mirari. My pack resides on the other side of the mountain. I was away from the pack when the snowstorm hit, and I wound up being unable to return to them. Thank you again for taking care of me. Speaking almost too quickly for me to understand her, Mirari introduces herself in a panic. She takes a few quick breaths immediately afterwards, then finally begins to calm down once again. Pleased to meet you, Mirari. My name is Toma. I've been living in this cabin by myself for... Toma! Yes. Toma. Okay, that's reminding me of the anime now. It's cute. Okay, that out to do it? Do what exactly? Oh, my apologies. I didn't mean to interrupt. Human names all sound so strange to me. If I don't repeat them out loud, they're too difficult to remember. Oh, I see. Anyways, Mirari? Yes, Toma? I think it's ready now. Huh? I glanced down at our food. The noodles have begun to span after absorbing some of the water, and the steam rising from the bowls has lessened considerably. If we're going to eat our fill, now's the time. Oh, yes, of course. Mirari picks up her fork and takes another look at the bowl. She raises her fork out of the bowl and licks the water off it, as though she was trying to eat soup with a fork. After watching Mirari do this a couple of times, I interrupt her. You can drink the water last after you've eaten all the noodles. Just watch me and do what I do. Under Mirari's watchful gaze, I pick up my fork. After pushing it into a clump of noodles and turning the fork a few times, I raise my fork to my mouth. I take a big mouthful and happily begin to chew the warm, filling noodles. I see. The food is submerged and the water is too hot to touch, so you use a tool to bring the food to your mouth. Munch. Pretty much. Now, why didn't you give it a try? Why don't you give it a try? Me? Yes, of course. That's why you were watching me, remember? Don't worry. It's that simple. Just get some noodles on the end of the fork and bring it to your mouth. Oh, okay. I'll give it a try. Mirari nervously picks up her fork once more. Mimicking my actions to the best of her ability, Mirari clumsily scoops up a large number of noodles. She then raises her utensil, at which point most of the noodles slip off her fork and fall back into the bowl beneath. Luckily for Mirai, however, a couple of noodles manage to hang on to the utensil, and after a quick examining of the foreign food one more time, Mirari hesitantly places them in her mouth. Is it good? This is delicious. It's absolutely amazing. How can something this tasty be cooked in such a short period of time? You're just hungry. She seriously doesn't know how to use a word. I think this is the nicest way to put it. Haha, you're exaggerating. I like instant noodles as much as the next person, but at this point, I'm pretty sure you're hungry enough to even stale bread would taste good. Anything tastes good when you're hungry, you know? The moment I finish speaking, a faint grumbling emanates from Mirai's stomach. Her face is tinged red as she looks down, silently regretting the unfortunate timing of her body's honesty. Despite her embarrassment, Mirai picks up her fork once more and continues to eat. See what I'm talking about? Anyways, it's perfectly natural to become ravenous out here. Your body burns out a lot of calories warming itself up when you're out in the cold. After surviving that snowstorm and sleeping in it for so long, I'd be surprised if you weren't hungry. Just as Mirari is about to bring her fork to her mouth once again, she suddenly stops. Ah, the snowstorm. I hope she's alright. She? Ah, no, it's nothing. I was just talking about to myself, that's all. Ha 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 ha. Clearly hoping to avoid questioning, Mirari quickly brings the fork to her mouth and takes another bite. The moment she does, her lips curl up at the side and a joyful smile appears on her face. After a few tries, Mirari has gotten the hang of eating with a fork. Fueled by hunger, she devours most of the noodles in no time at all, leaving little more than water behind. If I'm not careful, she might finish her own portion first and then start on mine. Alright, well that wasn't a bad start to this new visual novel. I better save though. Yeah, of course. Well, that was pretty good. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We're gonna continue with this. This one is a lot shorter than the other one. I'm not saying that I'm gonna stop playing the other one altogether to just play this one. No, I'm probably gonna be playing both of them at the same time. Well, anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.